Wayne Thiebaud. Wayne Thiebaud is an American artist who hailed from California, Sacramento, California, and unfortunately he just recently passed away this past Christmas Day, December 25th, 2021. So we have a lot of work from him because he was 101 when he passed away. This artwork right here is called For Pinball Machines. This was the record-breaking painting of his lifetime, and it sold in 2020 for $19,135,000. This next painting is called Encased Cakes, and that one sold for about $9 million. He has lots of stuff that he has done throughout his lifetime, but he's most known for his cafeteria style paintings where he grew up where there were things called automats. And instead of being like straightforward cafeterias, there were like vending machines that had pieces of cake, that had cupcakes, that had different things in them that you could put your money into the vending machine and the right shelf would come in front of you. You'd open it up and you'd take out your plate of cupcake or plate of cake. And he was kind of obsessed with that. He started painting in like the 50s and 60s, 1950s and 1960s. And he was kind of obsessed. So he's a really good artist to study for us doing these cupcakes because he always had bright colors. He always wanted to have vivid imagery of things looking like they tasted even better than they could possibly taste. He like transcended like what you could think of as like, oh, that looks like it tastes really good. And then you have all of these colors that he puts into it, and suddenly it looks like the most delicious thing that the heavens ever created. So I thought he was a good person to look at for our cupcakes because we are about to paint them. Now, I'm not going to give you many directions about painting your cupcakes because it is a very individual thing. However, we are using acrylic paint. Acrylic paint stains a lot, like a lot. So, if you don't have a smock, please roll up your sleeves so that nothing happens. We're using many different kinds of brushes, whatever you are comfortable with for your cupcake. So if you want a detail brush, you're going to use a little tiny one. If you're doing the icing all one color, then you're going to use a bigger one. It's just what you specifically prefer. So I did say that if you didn't attach your cupcakes correctly using the score and slip method last time, that they might come apart when they dry because it does slightly shrink when, clay slightly shrinks when it dries. So some of you might have a cupcake that looks like it's whole right now, and then all of a sudden you start handling it and it breaks apart. So be very careful. However, acrylic is kind of a cool thing because aside from it staining your clothes, it also dries like plastic. So if you have two parts that are separate and you can put a layer of acrylic in between those two parts, and you could lay it on pretty thick and it will dry. It will take a long time to dry if you lay it on pretty thick, but it will dry and it will glue the two pieces together. So that's something really cool. You also want to think about decorations that maybe you didn't do a 3D element for, but like maybe sprinkles. You want to put sprinkles on it. You just have to paint it first, and then you have to put little dabs of other colors of paint on it. So you want to think outside the box. Just because you didn't mold something doesn't mean you can't paint it in a different way. You can paint pictures in your icing. You can whatever your heart desires. I mean, like the little cupcake holder, that we made those textured thing to make it look like a cupcake on the bottom. you can design that. I know I've seen lots of cupcakes that have that designed, and so you can make little pictures on that as if it was a real paper cupcake holder. Okay, so I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time, so I want you to have enough time to work on these paintings. We only have today. I shouldn't say paintings, to work on these sculptures. We only have today, so I might ask you later on what the artist is, Wayne Thiebaud, and I might ask you later on, how do you spell Wayne Thiebaud? Because it's so weird and it doesn't sound at all like it looks. So you might get big points if you can actually spell it, if we have time at cleanup. So each table gets a set of paints. What you do with that set of paints is up to you. Like, if you're not going to wash your brush in between painting, you're in 4th grade. You should know how to do this. If you're not going to wash your brush in between different colors of paint, you're going to mess up your set of paints for your whole table. Now, if you run out of yellow, let's say everybody at your table wanted to use yellow and you run out of yellow, I will give you more yellow, but your container has to be empty for me to refill it. So if you mess up the paints for your table, you don't get new paint unless you use all the paint that's in the container. Acrylic paint is very expensive, so I hope you will adhere to these rules. Acrylic paint dries like plastic, so when you are done with your brush at cleanup, it is super duper important that you put your brush in the water bin, brush side down, so that the brush is in the water and doesn't have time to dry, because if it has time to dry, it's going to be hard as a rock, and then goodbye paintbrushes. So I would really appreciate that. I will wash them later. You don't have to worry about washing them. You just have to put them brush side down in the dirty brush bin. And that's pretty much it. So have at it. I hope you have fun. You only have today. Let's see how many details you can get in, because details make everything better.